Just a warning, there will be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the show, then I would say go watch it. Or, if you don't care about spoilers, then let's get started here. And what I want to first just kind of bring up is, can we just reflect upon the first episode and how good it looked compared to, I mean, the whole show looked pretty good, but like, this how much better the first episode looked compared to like any of the other episodes, and how how it was had so much potential at the beginning compared to like everything else, and how they just ruined it all after that episode, basically. I mean, you could even say the second episode was like good, but then after that it just kind of turned into generic. Then it just kept going worse and worse every time, and it's really a shame that it actually did this, because it actually had a lot going for it at the beginning. If you don't know what this show's about, I mean, it's basically about Kobayashi becoming an assistant for Akechi, and Kobayashi is this little middle schooler who somehow sees like his teacher gets his head cut off, and it's pretty like gruesome. Like, you're just like, oh shit, like, and it's pretty cool too. Like, you're just like, what? Like, this show could be like a good sociological thriller with like everything about society and shit, because that's what they kind of set it up like. And I mean, they do that, but in really bad ways, with how like it's very weird on how they do stuff in the show, and the weirdness actually like factors in, like, because the show is weird and that's what they're trying to like bring out, but that's not really how, like, they kind of don't do it at all. They don't really do what they need to do in the show to bring it to what it could be. It's weird, man. I'm gonna get into this. So the story's simplistic with what it's trying to do, because it started like it could have been something great, and it just kind of turned into something simplistic and formulaic, and it was really just not good. It was just bad. They had it because it follows these cases, and basically it kind of takes over with these 20 faces guy. It's just, I mean, it's a whole group of 20 faces, because there's like a whole thing with it. But basically, they have these cases, and the cases are piss poor at best. Like, the first case was, okay, and it actually had a little bit of thought into it, which I was just like, okay, they're gonna have some thought into the show. As the show kept going on, the cases got shorter and shorter, and then it just kept going, like, and the cases all go to the main subject of the show and everything, and like, I was just like, okay, like, these cases are gonna go to the main subject, but every case gets shorter and shorter as it goes along. So around episode 8, or maybe 7 at least, like, it was one of the episodes, I think it was episode 8 or 9, he solved the case in about 10 seconds. He came to the scene and said, I know what it is. And I was like, what kind of mystery show is this, that you can just come in and then like just do this? Like, it's so piss poor at that point. I was just like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you're really gonna subject yourself to having like at least decent stories at the beginning with these investigations, then you're gonna just come in and then you're just gonna come in and do this to yourself, and having like this really bad writing, like, because the writing was like okay at the beginning, and then they just got worse and worse as it goes on. It's really like dumbfounded me. Like, I'm just like, what? How do you do this? I don't know how you do this to yourself. My gosh, dude. If you're gonna have a sociological show, you can't just focus on the community. And like, the community is a big part. That's the whole point of sociology. But you also need to focus on the characters within the show. And that's what I'm going to begin here. The characters in the show. Now we have Nakamura. He is basically he's in the OP, which is weird. But he's like never in any other show. Like, barely. He doesn't get any like lines, barely. He talks to his partner, which is another character, which is useless. Basically, he's more useful than Nakamura. But he's basically the hunchback detective guy who just doesn't get anything. He's nothing. It's like, I can't really talk about him because he's literally nothing in the show. His partner had more, but he was very cliche with his backstory. His backstory is very average. It was just kind of like, okay, that's his backstory, sad backstory. So then we'll get going with it goes with the whole plan with how society is bad and they treat bad people good and everything. And it's just like, okay, like, that Like that's it. And then he decided kind of like it goes with the 20 faces and everything. It was like fine, but I wish we would have had a little bit more with him, so then it wasn't just like we don't get anything with him and then suddenly it turns out he's 20 faces. Now we tell a backstory for him and then he's not going to be in the anime anymore, except when like a couple scenes that last like a minute. And it just was just like, okay, you're a bad character. Most useless character, in my opinion, is probably Kuro, which is the fetish chick in the jail cell that's hung up by, like, she's attached to, like, strings to her, so then she can't get out or whatever, because apparently she's really dangerous, and we get nothing on her at all. She is nothing. Apparently, she has a history with Akechi, the one great detective. Great detective. They even wasted a whole episode on this in episode 7, which was a birthday party thing that had a baby, a cat, and a bomb. And it was just randomness. It was all random. And I think there was terrorists as well. And it was just all random. And then what they do is it just leads up to Kuro sending all this shit to her, sending all this shit to him as a birthday present, so that he will go to her and then she'll give him 2 seconds of information. And I'm just like, you had to waste a whole episode doing that on an 11 episode series instead of just moving the plot along and doing it better. It really is just like, really now? Are we really gonna do this? It was so stupid. Like, come on now. You might say that all these characters don't matter, or like it doesn't really pertain to the plot, so why even talk about them? Like, because you have the other main characters, the 3 other main characters that you do focus on more. And I wouldn't really say the other 3 main characters you focus on at all. You don't really. I mean, they're in the show and they're obviously focused, but are they really focused on as characters? Or are they just there on the screen to be on the screen? Like, come on. Let's just get into this. Let's start with Akechi, which is the main detective. Basically, he gets the most out of all the characters, in my opinion. He basically is OP detective to be an OP detective. We get to learn some backstory with him on how he is, he's a nice guy and everything. He has like a demon. He wants to beat his friend or whatever. Like, he wants to defeat this 20 faces because he came up with the formula to create 20 faces. I mean, it's just like, okay, like, it's fine if they could just expand upon that or something like that, but they don't really. It's kind of like they just move stuff forward without really, like, they never really like focus on the character that much. And I mean, they did focus on this character a little bit, but not as much as they needed to. Even when he solves cases, it's really just kind of stupid. It's not like he's smart. It's that they dumb everybody down in the show, or they just don't like give people any perspective on how the whole, like, how people are, that when he's talking and everything, it's just like, he's the smartest guy in the world. It's just like, no, he's literally throwing in bullshit to your face. Like, he's just like, I know how to do everything. I know how to solve this problem. We're going to get this done. Like, I'm not even going to be a detective. He doesn't detect anything. He's just standing there thinking, and then he solves it. I don't remember one scene where he actually was a detective. Like, when did he actually detect anything? He was more just like thinking about it, and then plot convenience came, and he's like, I know what the problem is. And he's like, I'm just like, okay, I mean, are you gonna do that? Whatever. The best friend to Kobayashi, the trap guy, is useless, and he literally just wants his friend's dick the whole time. I thought they might expand upon this, because I honestly do not care about the fetish. Like, I'm just like, or that his friend is a trap, the main character is a trap. I didn't care. I was like, okay, it fits for the show, because the show is about how society is all fucked up and how people aren't what they seem. But then it just turns, like, it doesn't expand upon it at all, and it's just there for jokes that are literally bullshit. It's all bullshit. Let's move on to Kobayashi, the best character. No, I'm joking. He isn't the best character. I despise this character. They literally just said, what could we do to make this character a good character? And they said, how about we take all emotion away from him? Which does fit the show. But they're just like, let's take all emotion away from him. Then we'll just put him in situations where he'll think the exact opposite of what everybody else thinks. And then there we go. He's a good character. We don't have to expand upon him at all. We don't have to develop him.
And it's just like, that's the one character that does need development, okay? Because he's the one who's secluded from society. He's the one who sees people as, and so does Akechi, but he sees people as nothing. And then when he does get to know people, he starts seeing it. And they even tried to, for a minute in the show, a minute, it was insane. I was like, dude, are they going to do this? But for a minute in the show, they tried to act like he was falling from grace, like he was going more down in the darkness or whatever, and he was, because he started seeing his own friend as nothing. And I was like, okay, maybe they'll expand upon this. But then they just kind of cut that out. They just said, nope, no more. Like, he's nothing. And then they just did that. It was weird. And I was like, okay, you had something there for, like, I think it was like episode 9, probably. And then they just kind of ended it. They had a stupid, like, sex joke. And they do have these, like, stupid flashes where Kobayashi even wore dresses in the show, which does fit the show. Like, I have these things where, like, the weird stuff in the show fits the show. But if you're not going to expand upon this or do anything useful with it, it's just there to be there, and it's not good. And that's what I don't like about this show. It really, irritates me a lot. And I really just wish they would do that, because he even wore dresses. He did all this stuff, but then they just suddenly had random ass shots and everything of the boy. Like, he's a girl. And I'm just like, I don't want to see that boy's ass. I'm sorry. Like, if it fit the show, maybe. But you're not going to do anything with this. And I honestly don't want a season 2 if you're going to expand upon this. Because you're probably not. Yeah, countless ass shots were bad. I don't care if the freaking best friend gets a boner. Like, come on. Oh, and the doctor character, they actually made an actual person in the show. It was weird, because I was like, okay, like, it was so weird, because the doctor basically gives you the rundown on how the person died, like, medically, and then and then we get a whole backstory on the doctor. It was weird, dude. Like, I was like, okay, like, what? Like, why are we doing this? Because then they wasted, like, a backstory on the doctor in the 10th episode, the second to last episode. They did this, and then in the 11th episode they even wasted time to do an interrogation that was like 2 minutes, of the show for the last episode, and then they even showed her suicide. And I was like, why are we wasting our time with this character? We could be focusing on, like, psychological treatments with, like, the society, or maybe like some weird sociological stuff or whatever. Like, we could have been doing that, but no, we decided to focus on the nurse doctor or whatever she's called, who's really fucked up. And I was just like, okay, well, it's going down. Yeah. Oh man, dude. I just kind of want to talk about the main villain and then the last episode, because they kind of go hand in hand together. The main villain, Nami Koshi, the whole episode they had a whole episode of backstory. The backstory was probably the best backstory and part in the whole show, but it was very average, and it was done well. But if the show was 24 episodes, I could understand. With this, they wasted a whole episode with a backstory that was literally the whole episode. It was like, we only have 11 episodes, so you kind of understand, and they already wasted an episode with a random filler episode. So you kind of understand that they only really had 9 episodes. It's kind of very bad. And he was introduced in episode 9, which is kind of bad for a villain, because we never get to expand upon him at all. And it's just like, okay, whatever. And they had this whole, like, the whole backstory with the how him and Akechi both created this formula so then they can see into the future or whatever. Like, they can, like, see the future a little bit. And basically he uses this as a villain tactic or whatever. He uses this to basically get back at the people that are bad in the world. And I'm just like, okay, he has a weird fucked up view of this, but I understand this because this is a fucked up show. So I kind of understand where he's coming from, why they do this in the show, but they never utilize what they have right. It's like, why would you just wait? Like, the backstory is fine, but then you just suddenly are just like, okay, let's move this forward. We're going to move it forward. And it's just really stupid. Like episode 10 was he was introduced at the end of episode 9, so then episode 10 was backstory, and then at the end it's just like, okay, we got to get going. And then episode 11 was just the ending part, which we never got really anything on him except he wanted to be noticed by Ketchy. So it was just kind of stupid. It was rushed, stupid, bullshit, bad villain, stupid nonsense. In the last episode, there's also some plot conveniences. Like, they tried to add some people in, like, to the show. I mean, they didn't add people in the show, but they added characters that were there before, and they acted like they were there to help Akechi. Like, I could understand the Bagman coming in and, like, helping him out. But then they added the freaking Fetish Girls slave guys. And they just came up with it just like, we're here to protect you and everything. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm just like, what plot convenience my ass? Like, you fucking come in here, motherfucker, and you just act like you're... What? How the I'm wondering how they got out of the jail cell. That's my question, because goddamn. But there's so much plot. It was just so weird, but... Let's get into the good points of the show, because I really just want to talk about something good. So, one point in the story I liked was the one student at the beginning of the show was dating a serial killer, and the serial killer turned people in the chairs, and then she yelled out at the end, she's like, I wanted to be his chair. And I was like, this is the best part of the show. Like, it was really funny. I was like, that was the best episode, in my opinion, was when she yelled that out. And really, it was so funny, dude. I probably will play that in the video, so just be ready for that.
そんな私に価値をくれた幸せだった。私は先生の椅子にならなれる。なりたい。椅子になりたかったの。
The art and animation I thought were really good. Especially the art. The animation was fine, but the art, I felt like they did something unique and different, where it was set up like a stage play. And I really enjoyed that a lot. And it was really cool to see, like, and on the things, when they used to have, like, good, like, you know, okay writing, okay, they would set up the crime scenes like a stage play and everything, and how stuff would go on. I'm just like, oh, this is good, you know? Maybe you know, if they could expand upon this, you know, a little bit, maybe, you know, have a little bit of depth, it would be okay. But they don't really do that, and it just kind of was just like, okay. But it was nice looking. The art was nice. I enjoyed what they were trying to do with that. And I really like the things with Kobayashi and Akechi and how they don't see people as people. They see them as, like, nothingness. How they both kind of go in the same. So Akechi sees people as, like, wooden dolls, and then Kobayashi sees people as nothingness. Like, they're, like silhouetted people. It's weird. And they did play on this in the first episode, which I was like, okay, that's pretty well done on how they played with that stuff in the beginning. But then they just kind of forgot about it. Like, it was there, but they didn't utilize it as well. You know, it was okay in the beginning. They didn't utilize it as well in the beginning as they did. And I'm just like, okay, why? Okay, like, you're really just kind of going downhill more episodes that happen here. So it's really kind of stupid, but I did like the way they were doing that and everything. And also they did it with 20 faces and everything. Like, it wasn't really sure if sometimes you were seeing people in actual 20 faces mask, or if you're seeing on Akechi's point of view on what he was seeing as 20 faces, on his obsession with 20 faces, which was cool. Music surprised me. It was actually very well done. I actually got like the music. It wasn't the scene that got me like a little like, oh my gosh, it was the music. Like, the music, I was like, whoa, this music's really good right now. They really put it in the right places they needed to, and I really actually enjoyed that a lot. They even did this with the symbolism of the butterflies and everything, and how butterflies symbolize that people are breaking out of society and everything, and how people are going to break out of the cocoons and everything, and then come along into the world and shit. So I enjoyed that, and I thought it was very well done, and it looked good and everything. There was some weird shit at the end where they had, like, the last episode, and you see that Akechi and the best friend to Kobayashi were running up these stairs, and it looked really good. And then they were, like, zooming into their faces, and basically what they did, they just cropped out like like a little video, and they just put it up above, and I was like, that's a little weird. You could have done a little better, but it was whatever. It was nice. The ending of the show was just like, I don't know. It was like, I expected it, but I expected more because people, like, it's like the villain won at the end. It was weird because, like, society starts to break loose, and then, like, the regular people start killing off people that they don't like. So crime's not really stopping, but I guess the people that are not getting, like, you know, their criminal justice done are, like, I don't know, it was very weird. I mean, the ending was fine, but I wish they just would have, like, expanded on society more and would expand upon their characters more, because it really was just a letdown the whole time, and I just really just didn't like it. Honestly, the show does a piss poor job in writing and characters and basically everything except art and music. It really does. Like, art and music are the best things. That's the only thing that really I can say good about the show, except that one joke at, like, episode 2 or whatever. If you're looking for a fun mystery show or a psychological show, well, if you're looking for a fun mystery psychological, I recommend Paranoia Agent. If you want to look for a show this season that has come out that's a mystery show, I recommend Goku no Usha, and those both are way better than this piece of shit. So yeah, that was my review on freaking goddamn Ranpo Kitan, and I'm gonna give this show a 3.5 out of 10. The reason that it's a 3.5 is because, again, they do nothing right in the show, and it was a sociological driven show without them doing anything good with sociological stuff, and I just didn't enjoy it. I was like, yo, are you kidding me right now? You're gonna have a sociological fucking show and not do anything good with the sociological show. It was like, okay, well, and the reason it gets the 3 points is because the art was really good, and they did something different that I haven't seen before, and the music was good, and I actually was probably the best music I've heard this season and this year. So that's why it gets a 3.5. So I'll catch you guys later. Tell me what you guys think of the show. Tell me if I'm just being retarded or something. And I'll catch you guys later. See ya.